Okay, dear Dhamma friends, we have come to the second Dhamma discussion of this Kalalgoda English Medium retreat. We have received several written questions. We'll begin the discussion with written questions.
We have altogether 8 questions today.
Yeah.
Most venerable Bhante, I am doing Anapanasati focusing on the breath. I attain concentration and a very tranquil state in a very short time in most instances. When I reach the tranquil state, I try just to observe, but after a while all sorts of past memories begin to come in and I get distracted. How do I proceed from this point? Thero and Nissarana.
Yeah, when mind becomes subtle, say as your breathing becomes subtler and subtler, so it is very common that we are again getting various thoughts and again sometimes various signs. Say, for example, different signs can happen. For example, say your breathing has really calmed down. At that time, probably you might see certain images. Say Buddha image, Ruwanadi Pagoda, maybe some passed away relatives or someone to whom that you are really attached to. Such images can happen. So this is something that we should be aware that we should not follow that images. Those are typically called as sanya, the signs, and this is in a way like a mirage that if we are following, then we are giving it more value, we are giving more attention to that, and it will then start to grow. Then we will lose the path. Basically, the idea what we are trying to do here is fairly keeping some sort of a rupa kammatthana, what you call anapanasati, say rising and falling, all these are coming under rupa kammatthana, where some sort of a material object, material phenomena we are trying to keep as much as focused, and as a result of our attention, this phenomena starts to fade away. So then mind has no well establishment. So as a result, now mind begins to find its own footing within ourselves. So it is very much like we already have so much of perception, so much of signs already stored in our mind. Now when this real phenomena fades away, now mind creates its own phenomena internally, and then that becomes very attractive because the real phenomena is now fading away, very subtle, so it's very difficult to pay attention. But on the other hand, the mind created signs are very attractive, so we immediately distract to those things. So that can happen. So that is the place that we have to understand, that if we are deviating our attention to these signs, then we are losing the path and we again get trapped. So instead of that, we have to again come back to the fading away of that subtler phenomena. So that is where the correct path is. That may be very boring, that may be very not that interesting, but that is the path. So on the other hand, there may be situation when the objects fades away, there may be again the mind starts to somewhat distract and gets, as in this situation, some past memories. So again, if we give attention to that, or rather if we give some value to them, again they start to grow. And you need to check whether you are somewhat going into drowsiness, because there are different obstacles are there in this region, because as your object calms down or fades away, so one possibility is that you might fall asleep or you feel drowsy. On the other hand, these different signs can appear. On the other hand, if you spend too much energy, then again mind starts to scatter, again mind starts to distract. So finding the proper balance is the skill. So you need to find out. So if you are trying to pay a little more attention, now say you are going through Anapanasati, the object becomes very subtler. At that time, if the mind gets distracted, one option is probably you can check whether you are exerting too much effort, because too much effort on such occasion can cause restlessness. That's a beautiful statement by the Buddha, where atipaggahitam viriyam uddacchanu patitam, where if you are putting too much effort, when the mind is well coming towards fair amount of concentration, fair amount of focus, if you are not properly balancing the effort, then this too much effort can cause restlessness. So therefore at that time you have to little reduce your effort and see what will happen. But the problem is, if you reduce it too much, then you might fall sleepy. You might fall asleep and or you might feel drowsy. So therefore you need to properly adjust it so that you are not too much reducing it and you are not too much exerting energy. So once you are properly balancing this energy, then you can maintain the necessary amount of energy so the mind may further calms down. So it's very practically you have to do it on the way. Yeah.
Most Venerable Bhante, I am relatively new to serious meditation since I have been practicing at home as and when time permits. Walking meditation, I can concentrate well and do feel the subtle sensations for about half an hour. Sitting meditation, main object inhalation and exhalation. I sit and have a blank mind to settle myself at the present moment. After about 5 to 10 minutes, I do not feel the breath. At this point, I don't feel the touching point at all. Bhante, please explain.
Yeah, I mean, it is not a must to see the or perceive the touching point. There are different approaches are available. Say, for example, if you are able to perceive the breath, whether it is shorter or longer, or whether it is warmer or cooler, so that is one side. That's also welcome, nothing to worry. And again, if you are able to see the touching point, that is another side. And again, there may be, breath and the touching point, and as a result of this contact, there could be some sort of feeling. It may be a subtle feeling, it may be a happy feeling, it may be a little somewhat like a touching feeling. So any kind of some resultant phenomena also possible. As a result of contact, the feeling arises. So if you are able to recognize this feeling, that's also fine. So any of these are valid. So it is not essential to exactly locate where it is touching, but instead if you are able to recognize, okay, it is warmer, okay, it is cooler, or it is longer, or it is shorter, or this is the beginning, or this is the middle, or this is the end. So these are related to the breath. So if you are able to perceive them, no harm. So finding the exact touching point is, sometimes I have heard this question several times. Mostly people are trying to locate the exact pinpoint where the breath touches. So sometimes for a beginner it is very difficult, because you are still not capable of maintaining a very focused mind at a particular place, and at that time if you are trying to locate your mind to find out the exact location, it's very difficult. It is too much for the beginner. So therefore don't worry too much about that. But as your mind concentrates and as your mindfulness develops, you may be able to recognize where it is exactly touching. That may be in the later situation, but at the moment, so find out where it is, whether it is longer, shorter, whether it is cooler, warmer. So likewise, so those are fairly enough. Yes.
Most Venerable Swami Mahansa, in continuation with yesterday's discussion, for persons who have reached the animitta state, will they be able to develop the vipassana jnana if they don't continue with a fair amount of sitting meditation? Please clarify. Thero Sarana.
Now the idea is, basically when you are sort of landing on this animitta state where the mind becomes signless, so that indicates a long path. It is not that one may be reaching within a day or two, rather it may be several years of practice. Because for the mind to reach animitta, that is, that particular mind has to understand the impermanence in a fairly deeper manner. So there are three characteristics that Buddha has mentioned. That is the anicca, the impermanence, dukkha, the suffering or the unsatisfactoriness, and the non-self, the impersonal nature. So these are the characteristics that actually we are observing. So it is not that we are trying to impose these characteristics onto the phenomena, rather we are in a balanced mind, we are simply observing. But as a result of observation, these are the understandings we have to get naturally. So that we have to verify actually. We can't simply blindly believe here. Buddha has mentioned that those are the characteristics or the sort of the universal characteristics available to any kind of a causal effect, causal phenomena. But we ourselves have to check it. We ourselves have to observe it. So that continuous observation is therefore a must. So for that observation to happen, we have to have a focused mind. So therefore we need a fair amount of concentration. So that again needs some amount of our practice, because we need to prepare this mind. So when you are having a scattered mind, unfocused mind, not concentrated mind, so finding out the behavior of these phenomena is very difficult. You can have some kind of a book knowledge, but that is not what we are talking here. What we are trying to discuss here is your own understanding. So that is the meditative knowledge. So for you to have this meditative knowledge, so you need to first prepare the mind. So that is where you need to work hard to have a concentration, the samadhi. Assume now one has fair amount of concentration. So then that concentrated mind has to be located, has to be properly focused on various phenomena which is arising at the present moment. So it may be various, say for example, element phenomena, what we call as dhatu lakkana, or it may be various feelings, vedana, or it may be even looking at your own mind. So typically the advice is it's difficult to go to observing the mind immediately, because you might get tempted or you might get lost while you are watching the mind. So therefore typical practice is to start with the body. So you are observing various phenomena arising in the body, and that becomes the field of observation. And as a result of this observation, your mind further get concentrated and further get some sort of wisdom, and all these things are contributing to understanding of impermanence. So as a fair understanding of impermanence, so there is a possibility that the mind may let go of these phenomena. So the yogi may experience, so now I was observing these various phenomena for quite a long time. It's in a way it's a very hard job, hard work. And as a result of this observation, now the yogi might feel, okay, now these things are like fading away. Now it's very much like mind is losing the interest. The boundaries are becoming blurred. They become invisible like. Now I have some sort of a gap being created between the phenomena and the observing mind. So likewise certain noticeable changes are happening within a yogi. So this is how this beginning. As a result of this continuous observation, mind is now coming to the next level. So on such occasion, now slowly we have to promote this rather than pushing the mind back to the phenomena. Now mind is trying to disengage from phenomena, and on that occasion only the mind will completely disengage and become signless. So it may be a sort of a momentary experience at the beginning, but later it becomes slowly. If you are working on it, you can expand it. Maybe 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, like that one has to develop. So this is a long path. So actually coming along this path itself has various knowledges. So you can't say that when you are getting vipassana knowledges only after you reach animitta. reaching Animitta itself having a lot of Vipassana knowledges. The knowledge of impermanence itself is a deeper knowledge. And say, for example, the seeing arising and passing away itself is a deeper knowledge, what we call as Udayabbe Jnana. So that itself belongs still before Animitta. We are still talking before Animitta, but Udayabbe Jnana, that's a Vipassana knowledge. So people might experience, okay, things are constantly passing away. Sometimes called Bhaya Jnana, or you might feel a little afraid of the whole process, because whenever your mind being focused, things are disappearing. So it appears like kind of a fearful. It itself is a Vipassana knowledge. And then only the mind may let go, that called Nibbida. That also is Vipassana knowledge. So then probably the yogi may land on where nothing is grasped or nothing being attached. So that is where the Animitta state might arise. So that itself is another Vipassana knowledge, where you are capable of having a mind which is not attached. So for that itself requires this fair amount of backing coming from the wisdom. It is not that we are gaining all this knowledge simply by reading and listening and all these things. The mind being trained, mind being focused, and again mind being convinced, okay, this is the real nature. It's a cause and effect relationship. So if you refer Cetana Karaniya Sutta, which is in Anguttara Nikaya 10th Nipata, Buddha says, so the yogi doesn't need to even have a will telling that may my mind get disengaged from this process. Buddha says it's a natural effect, it's a dhammata. If enough understanding is developed about the reality of these phenomena, the mind gets disengaged by itself. It's a dhammata, it's a law, it's a natural law. So very much a very beautiful teaching in a way what Buddha is telling, that even though we individually do this practice, ultimately the mind is the one maturing. So we are giving some sort of a field for the mind to mature. That is the raw material for it to play. So as a result of this experiment, now the mind is growing, mind is maturing. So once it reaches a particular maturity, it will do the next part. So that if it is the letting go, then letting go will happen. You can't but what Buddha telling is, you don't need to even think that let my mind be disengaged or let my mind be let go of these things. Even that is not necessary. See how beautiful this is? It's a very natural process, step by step process, and in which stage we are in, you have to work on that. At that stage, happily, contentfully, you are working on it. Then once you fulfill the necessary, facilities or necessary potential, then the next stage will happen. Then you are working on that stage and you are building up. And once it reaches that stage, the next stage will happen. So that is called Opanayika. Dhamma is Opanayika. Yeah.
Dear Bhante, Thero and Sarana, I have 2 questions to ask you with your permission, please. Number 1, I am currently meditating on 3 objects: Anapanasati, Metta and contemplation of the body. Based on Vijaya Sutta book, while I mainly focus on Anapanasati, I experience a better concentration on Metta meditation, but not so settled in Anapanasati. There are times, only a few, that I gain good concentration when meditation on Anapanasati, but I am failing to maintain. Please kindly advise on how to control the mind that is always drifting away.
Yeah, that is the whole practice. Your mind constantly try to drift away. So at the beginning, it's a kind of a challenge. You have to again and again bring back the mind to the desired object. So you have mentioned that you are referring Vijaya Sutta. So typically Vijaya Sutta consists of Asubha Bhavana related, say you are reflecting the repulsiveness of the body, but you check whether you are doing it, is it really giving you some energy, or because when you are meditating, especially when you are coming to Anapanasati, it's good to have a kind of a lighter mind, kind of a happy mind. If you feel like it's bad or depressed or something like that, then it's not good. So you need to have a kind of a beautiful mind, kind of a happy mind. So then the Anapanasati will happen very beautifully. So Anapanasati is very much like a Benz car that you need a carpet road to travel. You can't go in a bumpy road. So that bumpy part you can do with Asubha Bhavana, Mitta Bhavana and all these things, so that your mind being prepared. So once the mind is prepared, then you can immediately get into the carpet road, that is the Anapanasati or rising and falling, and now we are in the 100 kmph. So I think you can introduce walking meditation. So that is another very beautiful area where you have a lot of, in a way, somewhat of control, because Anapanasati, if you are getting immediately, so that might be a little difficult. But on the other hand, walking meditation is very interesting, where you can intentionally walk, intentionally rise your foot, and again you are keeping your foot, and you have a lot of sensations to keep your attention. So you can really focus, and then again your next foot is available, and again you are lifting it and again placing. You have now a lot of information available, a lot of details available, sensations available. Again you can keep your mind. So likewise, this is in a way very easy practice. So therefore introduce fair amount of walking meditation, so then your practice becomes well balanced, because the concentration to develop, the prerequisite is the mindfulness. So if the mindfulness has fairly developed, then as a result of that, you can maintain your mind for a long period of time on a particular or selected object. So the concentration is available. But if you are trying to immediately to get the concentration, that is fairly based on effort. So we are trying hard. So let the mind be in this object constantly. So a lot of effort. It's sometimes frustrating. Sometimes this effort itself can cause restlessness, because it has to be balanced. So if you are doing some walking meditation in a very relaxed mood, and then the mind is attentive about the process, and different objects are available, some variety is available, then your left foot has some type of phenomena and right foot has another different kind of experience. So you have some variation. Rather than immediately getting to some boring experience, now you have some variation, so mind may interest that. It has a little challenge also. And you can even count how many steps that I can walk mindfully. Is it only 10 steps or is it 15 steps? Is it possible for me to go for now 15 steps? Is it possible for me to increase it to 20 steps? So it becomes like a kind of a beautiful exercise.
Yeah. This is the second part to this report. I meditate on the body based on the teaching in Vijaya Sutta and try and suppress my self-will. I feel some improvement there. I always try to recall the images in the book when I am meditating on this object and contemplate. Please kindly advise how to progress, and if then is any better order in doing this meditation. With much gratitude and metta.
Yeah, as I said, if your mind becomes so much lustful, then do this practice. And after that, assume that your mind becomes calm. And now lust is no more. And now try to make it a little happier. And then introduce maybe rising and falling. You can simply keep your attention to the body, bring your attention to the body, and you can check what you can feel. Maybe the certain touching points, maybe rising and falling, maybe in-breath and out-breath. So different sensations are available. Now select one of them, maybe Anapanasati. So you are keeping your attention at the nostril. So constantly you have to keep your attention. Mind may distract, but again you have to bring it back. Again you are keeping your attention. Again mind may distract, again bring it back. So likewise you have to do it for a fair amount of time. Then only you may experience some sort of a concentration which is which is very, in a way, very pure. Now, when you are bringing a lot of images to your practice, there are certain, say in the Vijaya Sutta, maybe rotten bodies and all these things. So it also effective, but as I said, when the mind is lustful. But on the other hand, if the mind is in a happy mood, let that path be open. So then images are not necessary, you have a real experience. Say you are keeping the attention at the nostril and the breath is touching or breath is felt as warmer or cooler. So that is more natural, rather than you are creating certain images or remembering certain images to the mind. Now this is a very real touch. It's a direct experience. That is more effective than artificially or remembering various images. The thing is, ultimately, as your vipassana grows, all these images, all these signs has to disappear. So, this may be helpful at the beginning to calm you down, but ultimately everything has to disappear. So your mind has to become very clear, very clean. So at the very beginning, if you are trying such approach, then it may be easy, rather than filling the mind with various images and continue a practice. So ultimately you have to work separately to remove those images. So that may be an additional work. So but at the very beginning, if you are trying with anapanasati or rising and falling, this kind of a experience, these are direct touch. This is not that mind created ones. These are available phenomena, available real phenomena. So simply you can use them to develop further.
Thero and Saranai. Bhante, this is my problem. Not always, but sometimes when I sit down to meditate, first I get to the present moment. Then I allow the mind to run through the body. Then I sit down to meditate. I become restless and I cannot concentrate at all on the anapana. Even my body becomes restless and does not respond to me. Then I go for walking and that also fails. I come back and sit without success. I am asking you whether Lord Buddha had any method or advice for the priests who fail to concentrate in meditation. This might help most of us who are here. Thank you.
Yeah, you need to check what are the typical objects that your mind is distracted. Say, is it related to some office work? Or is it related to some neighbors who are bothering you? Or is it the upcoming election? Then if it is upcoming election, definitely you have to switch off your TV. So that is the best approach. So because if you are it's in a way very common sense. So if you are putting so much of information to the mind with various sources, you are taking all the newspapers, all the news channels and many things, and even talking to your friends over the phone and all these things, and now you go and sit. So what will be in your mind? It is a lot of shit. Ultimately in the mind. So it's very difficult, very obvious thing. So, but if you are keeping your mind calm and not much distracted, and very conducive to your meditation, not taking too much information, and you are protecting the mind. And in day-to-day activities especially, so you are trying to be mindful. Now it is not that you are trying to be mindful only while sitting. You have to introduce this mindfulness to various day-to-day activities. So that is the groundwork. Say when you are morning, when you get up, you have to be aware that now I am getting up, okay, now I am keeping the bed sheet away. I am now getting down from the bed. Okay, now I am going to the toilet, or I am now brushing the teeth. So every action, now we are introducing mindfulness. So this is how we are some sort of a life. Now we are living, which is more productive for mindfulness. Then as a result, now come and sit. Then there is a lot of groundwork, homework being done. Now it is easily mind get concentrated, or easily mind get further refined. But if we are not behaving properly, and if our the morality side is not much taken care of, then it's very difficult. Because say for example, you are doing various activities and sometimes you may hurt the others, you may be talk nonsense and all these things. Then once you sit and close your eyes, all these things are coming and bothering you. Okay, you did this, you did that, so he was hurt, she was hurt, and likewise there are so many things coming to the mind. That is where the morality is really helpful. So once you sit, you feel happy. Okay, I am taken care of many things. I was like that, but now I am fairly a good person. So that positive feeling about yourself is really contributing. Because that feeling that you deserve something. You are a good person now. So that Buddha says, anavajja sukha. Once you reflect back about your life, you can be happy. So that is really contributing for meditation. So therefore, checking what are the areas that you can rectify, the places that you can further refine or fine-tune, so that it is contributing to your spiritual growth. Then it is a kind of a collective effort of various things, not only sitting. Yeah.
Most venerable Bhante, primary object, in-breath, out-breath. After completing a good walking session, I start the sitting session. Can easily get into no thought zone, but when I am experiencing the blank state, often the perception of the breath jumps in. There's no breath, but the perception is there. Is this normal? Humbly requesting your guidance. May you achieve all your Dhamma desires in this very life.
May I know who has written it? You correctly located. She always very skillfully present her own question like someone else's question. Every time I catch, by the way. So, but now, other than this perception of breath, now assume that you are able to slowly keep it aside. At that time, are you able to maintain kind of a relaxed mind without any kind of an object?
Yes, sir.
Can,
yes.
right? So at the beginning, so mind get this perceptions of the breath.
Yeah. And I know that it's a perception also, but
Yeah.
still
It's
keeps
coming. No, it may be now. Thing is, now we have associated breath for a long time to come to this region now. So therefore, still mind may have as a habit is going back to breath. But nothing is there in order to see or to perceive, but it has disappeared. But as a habit, mind is going and looking at something. But at that time, try to purposefully bring back the mind and keep it without anything. So it's a kind of intentionally you are making it objectless. It has an object. We constantly have given him object because otherwise it may get distracted. But now, once you reach this area, this region, now it's like when mind is trying to catch something, again we are bringing it back and keeping, we are no place, like nothing to grasp. So it's again a training. So previously it is trying to distract to various things. So we are bringing it back and keeping it onto the desired object. That is the Mula Kamantha. Now we are doing in another phase where mind is capable of living or being at nothing, being at emptiness. So, but still mind now going to that previous Mula Kamantha. Now we have to bring it back and again keep it here. Keep it where nothing is available. Keeping where no attachment is available. So it's again a training. So as a result of this training, again mind will start to recognize, okay, there's a possibility to be alone, to be kind of attached to nothing. So this itself is a training. So now even in walking, for example, if possible, now try to bring the mind to this kind of an emptiness. Now you have various sensations available, they may be gross, and again you can see various things, but let the mind not to go there. Let the mind not to even grasp these sensations available on your soul. Instead, let the mind be free. We are very much like floating like. Without an object, now it is in a kind of a empty kind of a region where no object being given. Those are available in the vicinity, but we are not grasping. Something like that. You have to train and see. Yeah,
Most Venerable Bhante, do the mental process such as ignorance and consciousness begin even before body and mind, nama rupa, coming to being, dependent origination?
Now, there are different things we need to understand. Now, when you are having this birth in this life, now if we tell that there's an ongoing consciousness and that consciousness has come from another life to this life, then it's a wrong understanding. Because then we are accepting the self view. There's an ongoing consciousness. That's a wrong understanding. On the other hand, what we can say is, in the previous life there is a consciousness, then and there arising due to causes. Say when you are looking at something, then the eye consciousness. Say when you are hearing something, the ear consciousness. When you are tasting, the tongue consciousness. Likewise, then and there the consciousness arises due to causes. So now suppose now in this life, okay, the ground being prepared, now the field is available. That is the kamma, Buddha states. Kammang kettang. Then there's a craving and the field and all these things. So as a result, now when the field is available and the physical, the mother and father, that combination is also there, the physical facilities are available, and then as a result of kamma, the consciousness come and it's what we call as the establish. How to say? Vijnana as the bija, vijnana as the root, or as the as the seed, as a seed. So it's, these areas are, very tricky. We have to be very careful when you are explaining. So, and now again the ground is available for the consciousness to grow and the nama rupa to further grow, and now again it's developing in this life. So likewise, so what we need to understand is, now in the previous life, the physical, say you are a person, you are a man, but the physical conditions are now no more viable, no more possible to sustain your life. So now you have to give up that physical part. The body is dying now, but a new physical life is now available in another place. Now it is available, and now this consciousness give up the previous physical part, and now it is again grasping the new physical part, and the ground is being prepared. Necessary ignorance is there, necessary, say, craving is there. So now again and again, now the consciousness arises based on a series of consciousness starts to arise based on this physical physical facilities, say for example. So that facilities being further fueled by the craving and ignorance and all these other the immaterial causes, and then it can grow further, develop as a embryo, as an embryo, and then ultimately as it become a child. So likewise, so this is how we have to explain it. Yeah.
Bear with me if I am pronouncing incorrectly, because this has a lot of Pali words. Thero and Saranai, Venerable Bhante, could you please explain Sabbakaya Patisamvedi Asasim Siksamati Siddhati? What is the meaning of parameters of Sabbakaya? Number 1, is it Uddam Pada Kala Ado Kesha Mattaka Pacha Paryanta?
Yeah, there's a different explanation where the Sabbakaya you can consider as the whole body, or even you can consider as the whole breath. Now the breath has a complete cycle. It has a beginning, and then, say for example, the in-breath as a beginning, and then the middle and the end. Then there's a little gap before the beginning of the out-breath, and then the beginning of the out-breath, the middle, the end, and again there's again a gap before the beginning of the in-breath. So there's like this kind of a cycle. The beauty is, now if you are able to recognize this whole cycle, what is the result? So your mind becomes calms down. Pasambhayam kaya sankhara. So that is the ultimate result. But on the other hand, say you are able to recognize the whole body. Now you are the previous stage before you start Sabbakaya Patisanvedi. What is the previous stage? That is the longer breath or shorter breath. That is Rasang Digang Vasa Sisamiti and Rasang Vasa Sisamiti. So that means you are focused on the breath, and now you are capable of understanding, okay, this is the breath is longer or shorter. In breaths are shorter or longer. Likewise, you are now fairly calm down, well focused. At that time, assume if you are now trying to recognize different phases of the complete in-breath and the out-breath, so you are still capable, and now you are well focused at the nostril, and as a result of that, the whole body calms down, pasambhayam. But instead of doing, recognizing the different phases of the breath, after you are capable of recognizing whether it is shorter or longer and all these things, assume that you are now focusing your attention to the whole body. Now, when you are focusing your whole attention to the whole body, the same result will happen. Because the body also now calms down, because we are in a kind of a calming down phase. So therefore, either you look at the whole body, or either you look at the whole body of the in-breath and out-breath has a similar result. So therefore, some teachers say, okay, you can look at the whole body and let it calm down. Or some teachers say, okay, you simply look at the breath. Actually, breath is the primordial characteristics of the body. So looking at both are no harm, but ultimate result is calming down. That's the fourth stage, pasambhayam kaya sankhara. So either way is alright. You can even combine these two. Say for some time you are looking at the whole breath and out breath, and you are well focused. And instead of being in a narrow area, now you are again expanding your attention to the whole body. Now body also calms down. Now you are in a kind of big picture, and body is calming down. And again, assume that you are bringing your attention to the breath. Breath further calms down. So therefore, this is, contributing to each other. When breath calms down, body calms down. Because when breath calms down, body become restless is not possible. Because the fourth stage, pasambhayam kaya sankhara, means you are reaching the samadhi now. The mind becomes concentrated. One prerequisite of samadhi is pasadhi. What is the pasadhi? Kaya pasadhi and chitta pasadhi. That is body tranquil and the mind tranquil. So these are very much like interviewed. So therefore it's supporting each other, so no harm. That's all. So those are the written questions we have. If you have any other question, enough time is available. Yeah. Right.
But now I've started just being, for a while now I just start off with just being, and then my thought comes down. But now, when I'm struggling with trying to calm down the mind, I feel like I don't have ground to go back and recreate, which is how it calms down. It instantly happens. Sometimes I could have a really chaotic mind, and then in a fraction of a second, it either realizes something or it feels silence or something, and it calms down. And that calmness can take hours or days sometimes without being distracted. But how it happens, I don't know how to recreate. It just happens. So I don't know how to recreate it and how to go there when I'm struggling with having this like when I'm having a character, I don't know how to get it back, because if I try to go back to Kalalgoda, it's too loud and it's a struggle to keep the Kalalgoda. If I go from someone, I can feel the sensations, all of that, and the someone becomes instantly, right? It's still not as calm as the calmness I get instantly.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to hold on to anymore. It just kind of happens on its own.
No, I think now once a yogi recognize this sort of emptiness, so I mean going back to Kayanupassana is one option, as you said, but it is very much like going back to a gross characteristics rather than trying some subtle characteristics. So looking at the mind, and now the problem is here now in the mind, no? So mind has become chaotic, mind has become restless. So but if you are able to recognize the causes for restlessness and then let it go, then the mind may calm down. So I prefer that approach, because now emptiness actually is the groundwork for the purification to happen. Now say for example, assume you are in a good empty mind. So while you are maintaining that empty mind in a very balanced manner, again various thoughts can happen. Okay, some kind of a mind become restless or distractions and all these things, but it has a positive effect. We should not misunderstand thinking that the meditation is going back. Instead, now it's very much like another layer become evident to us, coming to the surface, and it is now going away, purifying. Now once they are going away, and then again mind settles down in a more deeper and more stable manner. So this is how it is happening. So therefore the emptiness is in a way a ground for purification to happen. Now you can recognize this chaos and all the restlessness as that phase even. So in such situation, again going back to Kayanupassana is not the real proper approach. Rather you let the mind to settle by itself. You have some patience and you are allowing the mind to be with these various thoughts, but you are not what you call impatient, or you are not trying to forcefully subside these things, but rather you are just simply being aware. What you know this statement, pamade na kampati, the sati bala. So the mind is a little struggling and restless and all these things, but you are not much worried about it. You are not afraid of it, because you know you have some well-grounded mind is available. At the moment, mind little shaky, but you know it's there, something is available. You have that confidence, and then the mind slowly let go of all these things, because we are not fertilizing them. We are not pumping any energy to grow these things. Rather, we are in a step back and we simply allow it to happen, die by itself. So it is now fading away. Ultimately, mind will land up again in on its own home. That is again the emptiness. So that is more natural and more productive than immediately trying to calm down by immediately locating or locking our attention on the body, because body is a gross object. No, body has gross sensations and various phenomena are available, and you are forcefully bringing your attention back and locking on the body. So it is in a way very gross kind of a approach. So rather than doing that, you are simply being with the mind, let the mind calm down by itself, but you are very patient. It may take a little time, but that is more productive. Because at the beginning, say you are doing various Kayanupassana related exercises, okay, meditation. You may getting even concentration, doesn't matter. But later on, such concentration or such emptiness, you have to get while some natural processes. allowing the mind to naturally calm down by letting go all these various turbulence available in the mind, and naturally let it calm down, and then you are coming and landing on the more stable calmness that is more positive, more productive.
So usually I see when they come and go, I know it's here, but it comes and goes, and I see all of this happening, and sometimes I know it's because I'm holding things and sleep. All of that I see.
Right.
But that still doesn't give the calmness. It's a certainty was still happening.
Right.
But there are times like out of nowhere the silence comes. I don't know how.
No, that also possible. Now say for example, now say there's a big or some pain available. Now you are paying your attention on pain, and pain is now fading away. So when severe pain fades away, it paves you the way to Nirodha again to the calmness, again to the emptiness. Similarly, there are a lot of thoughts available, and when they disappear by itself, that also leading you to the same calmness. Because these are all phenomena. No? So now some gross phenomena available, but when they pass away naturally, they will take us back to the calmness, back to the emptiness. So therefore probably may be the thing happening. So where it appears like some kind of a troublemaker at the beginning, but the result of fading away will take us back to the emptiness. So that also a possibility. And again, on the other hand, now as you said, now we are having so much of thoughts and all this turbulence in the mind because of the self-view. We are having, okay, he did that, she did that, he is wrong, she is wrong. So likewise, we are personifying everything. But immediately if you are able to disengage from this process, okay, I understand, okay, this is simply the thought, okay, this is simply the consciousness, and on this consciousness, now the name and form and coming to struggle. Now I am putting some big antidote here. I am putting the wisdom here. When enough wisdom being developed, this can't sustain. Immediately this will disengage. Now because when I am personifying only, this Nama Rupa get established. Consciousness Nama Rupa get established only when I am personifying. But when I recognize this as consciousness and this simply as the Nama Rupa, now that is the reality. That is the real Patissamuppada. And when I am having that understanding, that knowledge, so it will disengage. It can't sustain. It's a big impact or big wisdom coming and doing whole thing blast. Now no more. Again immediately emptiness. So that is also possible. different weapons are available. Yeah. Yes. So because immediately these things become no place like, no meaning like. So because we are the ones giving some meaning now, we are the ones giving value, strengthening them. Immediately when we drive on the completely the opposite, it becomes nothing. Become basically nothing, and ultimately mind become empty. So all are interesting. That's all. Okay, we have almost completed the discuss about 1 hour. If there is no any other question, we can wind up the session, and we'll have the Dhamma sermon at around 4 p.m. Thank you very much for participation.